Here I'm going to teach you how to hip hinge. This is very important once you start to increase your deadlift weights. Once you start to go harder, once you start to go heavier, you really need to learn how to hip hinge to not only be safe, but keep the tension on the working muscle, whether it's the glutes or the hamstring. So what she's gonna do here, I want you to pay close attention, okay? As she goes down, her hands are gonna glide on her thighs, right? The cue is that once she gets to her knees, look at the distance that's about to be created between her hands and her legs now. Why? Because once she gets to her knees, the cue is hips back, hip back, hip back, hip back, hip back, hip back. You're gonna do that sometimes, right? You're gonna get off your tippy toes. But I want your, wherever it is, whether it be dumbbells, whether it be a barbell, it needs to literally slide up against your hips. And then boom, beautiful. All right? So the couple cues you're gonna wanna learn here is as you go down, right? This is all lower back. Stop right there. And what I want you to think about is if I'm trying to push her down, and don't let me push you down. What I want you to do is open up your hips and throw your hip back. That is what's making you go down. You feel that stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes? Yep. That's what you want to do, right? So as you go down, right? Hips aren't locked. She's going down, she's going down, she's going down. Once she gets to her knees, I want her to lock up where I'm not even able to push her lower back down. All right, that's gonna force you to use your glutes and your hamstrings to get that extra stretch, right? It's like the extra range that you wanna get to keep going down is gonna be when you get to your knees and you start throwing your hip back. As you go down, okay, the deadlift for a stiff leg shouldn't pass like halfway to your shin. For an RDL, being that she's gonna be bending her knees more, right, she will be getting a little bit lower. But stop right here. Look at so if her hands were straight, come down. If her hands were just straight, look at the distance right here and look how far her glute is away from the weight. This is called a moment arm, guys. All right, this is where the glute is working out the most. Not at the top, it's right here. All right, so now try to do that with a stiff leg where your knees aren't bent that much. Boom, cue, stop right there. All right, no more lower back, all hamstring now. Go, down, down, down. That's it. That's the low you need to go. She bent her knees just a little too much. Bend your knees a little bit less this time. Look at that. You see how she's not able to go down? This shit is locked up. This shit is really hard. Now, if you're, come back down. Stop right there. If she wants to go down a little bit more, all right, she's going to unlock her back. Look how much lower she can go. That is why you feel it a lot in your lower back and not in your hamstrings and not in your glutes. You have to learn how to hip hinge. Hip hinging is basically locking up your hip where it needs to be hinging your hip as you start to go back. And you're gonna have to learn how to do this with very little weight, all right? Low weight, get the cue down packed. Do this with literally no weight or get some really light dumbbells. Go very slow. I'm talking about 5, 4, 3, 2. Once you get to the knee, that's your cue. Lock your lower back, only glutes or only hamstrings. And you learn how to hip hinge. Once you learn the technique behind it, you add weight to it. Voila, you grow big pair of glutes and some hamstrings. Let's kill it.